Welcome back to Shatter Our Souls. I'm Novaria, and this is episode 4 of Metroid Mondays. So, as I promised last time, today we are going to tackle at least one boss, and we're gonna go after Sheegoth because I kind of want the wave beat. Eh, I thought that'd be worth trying. It didn't go the way I planned. Much better. Anywho, entirely sure what I was going to talk about today or how I was going to go about it. So instead of going overarching into lore and that kind of thing, I wanted to talk at first a little bit about the channel. Now, the channel was originally built with the mentality around an old friend of mine. My friend and I used to game together all the time, and when we got together, there was always something ridiculous that we got up to. And so, I would like to extend an offer to our viewers. Is there a challenge that you would like to pose to this channel? So that maybe I can try something different in my life, or in the future. That's all. That's really all it boils down to. Is that the goal of this channel is to expand my horizons a bit. Anyways, just crawling our way through Magmore Caverns. And one thing I'm noticing about the Magmore in Hypermode is that they're fairly spongy. Like, they are among the higher health enemies in the early part of the game. So, seeing just how much more they take is surprising. Anywho, just gonna take our time. I don't trust this. And I'm glad I didn't. The fireballs there have been a constant problem for me, as they almost always end up getting me and knocking me into the lava. So, I wanted to, I guess, maybe touch base when it comes down to art direction. Now, one thing about the Metroid franchise is that you can tell what is from Metroid and what isn't. If you were to put similar games side by side, such as Metroid and Halo, you would be able to tell what is from the Metroid franchise and what wasn't, typically at a glance. It's very distinct, very unique art and style of game. Something that I think would be very difficult to replicate. Now, the reason why I bring this up, at least for the Prime series, is that there are some things that are very good and very poor when it comes to the Prime art. I think the number one thing that I enjoy about the art direction is that each area feels distinct and that there are areas even within a particular location that are distinct. Looking at someplace like phendrana Drifts, for example. You enter phendrana Drifts from inside a cavern or perhaps from within a hollowed out chunk of an iceberg and enter this open area as beautiful as it can be, soft snow floating down. And it gives you a brief moment of pause, that feeling of awe, that understanding that there is more to this location than meets the eye. Then you look at our Chozo architecture and how it ties into your location as well. Now, the downsides of the more well-rounded locales is that the areas that are not done as well, like the tunnels in between major rooms, often end up just kind of being flat as a result. But that is also a nitpick in an otherwise gorgeous game. So, looking at that, we can also tie this back to other areas like Magmoor Caverns, which have a bit more of a samey feel to it, and yet each room within it has a distinct flow to it. There is an understanding that each section, each room, works in a specific way. The challenges that are presented are done so in a specific way. And so it's not impossible by any means to remember the exact layout of Magmoor Caverns, even though it seems samey. I think it's this head. Nope, it's the other one. Yep. Anywho. It's my personal experience that the Metroid series was easy to remember where you were. And barring some locations in the 2D games, I find that statement stands very firm and very strong to this day. Biggest, I suppose, question I have regarding art direction is because it has been so long since we've had a new Metroid game. What is Prime 4's locales going to look like? Are they going to be more reminiscent of places on Talon 4 or Aether? Or are they going to be more reminiscent of the diverse locales of Prime 3? Brio, Elysia, the Pirate Homeworld, even Norian had its place. And the boss fight begins. Now, I'm gonna admit outright, Sheegoth are one of the more challenging enemies on this, in the game. The fact that you have to stick behind them at all times to deal damage to them at all, on their own, a single Sheegoth is not a problem, most of the time. But it's about maintaining spacing most of the time, at least in my experience. Maintaining the spacing, strafing the opponent, and keeping their target in close range, or within range, is the aim. But as with all things, that can backfire in some way, shape, or form as well. Right now, I think I'm doing okay, although the adult or fully grown Sheegoth boss is going to be... I'm a little bit hesitant about fighting head-on. Okay. One shot. What am I doing? I should heal up before I actually fight the boss. Shell is broken. Anything in here? Okay, I'm about 350 health. I can... this will likely work. Now, I'm not sure if anybody has a strategy to defeat Sheegoth better than I do. I've unfortunately found that any beam or missile weapon on Sheegoth doesn't work, barring the plasma beam. So I usually just kind of line up a shot and drop bombs behind it and such. I've always found that that was the easiest way to deal damage, at least. But who knows, I might just be oblivious to something simplistic as well. Okay, just plant a couple more bombs, run away. Nope, 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 not the chill. Oy vey. There's a lot more health than I expected. Come on. Oh no, I'm almost out of health. This is bad, this is bad, this is bad. Not dying today. Okay, one more batch of health. Perfect. 145 instead of the... Oh! Oh, it's down. That could have probably went a lot better than it did. Still, it is Hypermode. That is the expectation that it's going to take a little bit more effort to defeat. But now, with the Wave Beam in hand, I'm going to save because I don't want to end up fighting that guy again. And, I think I'm going to head towards the Space Pirate Research Station in phendrana, which is another one of those situations of good art direction. Admittedly, the artificial environments, shall we call it, the ones that tie into like labs and that kind of thing, have always been a bit of a struggle for at least the early parts of the Prime trilogy. Metroid Prime 1, I found that a lot of the technology-based locations tended to blend together a little bit. And it could just be that, you know, the color palette makes it harder to remember, I don't know. But yeah. Anywho. Need the super missile for that. I'm gonna go save. After beating up a Sheegoth for a moment. So, as far as Samus's motivation in Prime, to my understanding, a lot of her motivation is, or can be, simply summed up as anger. And I never really thought of it as such initially. But after spotting Ridley on the frigate Orpheon in the introduction to the game, Samus went from investigative to outright anger and trying to defeat Ridley even on the spot. It didn't work. But she took the effort, despite losing half of what her suit could do, to chase Ridley down. That to me, while a seemingly small detail, says a lot about where her mindset is at the moment. In the original Metroid, or Zero Mission, there wasn't necessarily the expectation that she was going to run into Ridley. The expectation was that she was to go into Zebes and hopefully find or take down Space Pirate operations, which could have involved Ridley, to be fair. But the other side of it was that she was supposed to defeat either capture or destroy the Metroids on Zebes. That was her job. There is no guiding hand in this. Her entire job at the moment, she's not getting paid. She doesn't have a bounty that she's hunting. Her entire mentality right now could be summed up as driven by wanting to defeat Ridley. Could also be that she wants to deal with and eliminate the space pirates around Zebes, and that she happened to catch Ridley go down to Talon 4. I said Zebes. Oy vey, I'm getting a headache. But the thing is because she took the time to hunt down Ridley, in spite of her apparent weakness at the time, could be seen as a lapse of judgment, or it could be seen as courage, bravery in face of danger. Either way you look at it, her motivation in this, at this moment in time, is personal, which is somewhat rare for someone in the bounty hunting profession, by my understanding of it. Oh, sweet. Another 100 health. That's going to help in the future. I am curious if you agree with my summation of her motivation in Prime. I honestly, it could be stated a number of different ways. But a lot of what draws her to her missions, when it is not involving the Federation, I just fell into water. Okay, it's going to be a couple moments here. Bear with me. When it comes down to the Federation being involved, usually it's finances, it's credits. When it comes down to Samus responding to a distress signal, it's usually because of more personal matters. And I think that somewhat sums up her mentality. She's always looking for jobs, but doesn't always have the expectation of being paid. Maybe. I could be reading too far into it. It is a game, but I always find there's more that can be gained from this. Anyways, I have to cut her short, so if you like what you see, drop a like, leave a subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Until then, have a good one.